House will come to order.
His mic is on.
I know it
Prayer by the chaplain.
Oh, it's good. Thank you. Not every speaker of the day has clergy as a wife. Hours turn into days, and days into months. May you all take deep breaths and have lots of sleep. May each of you find a sense of calm and wisdom from this legislative session 2024. May you be proud of your successes and learn from the hurdles. May you continue on the path of creating law and policy with wisdom, peace, and fellowship, apologizing where needed, analyzing to better understand, and working together for a better Minnesota. Thank you to all who are retiring. Thank you for your insights, your guidance, your integrity, your service, and the sacrifices you have made. May you be blessed upon the path that you take for the future. May you be blessed in your labors and successes. May your work here continue to flourish even in your absence. May you all be blessed with health and your souls with joy. May you be shielded from harm, and may all your prayers be answered. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May you be blessed with graciousness. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yechuneka. May you feel the presence of a countenance, of a blessing, of something much bigger than all of you are. Sorry to say, there is something bigger for each of you. Whether it is community or divine presence, it is bigger than any one or the whole. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May you feel the presence of peace and wholeness as you go forward in your endeavors. Amen.
The chaplain for today is my amazing wife, Rabbi Marcia Zimmerman from Temple Israel in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk will take the roll.
Yeah.
The clerk will close the roll. A quorum is present. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
The clerk will read the journal of the preceding day.
Journal of the House, 93rd Session, 2024, 119th day, St. Paul, Minnesota, Sunday, May 19th, 2024.
If there is no objection, further reading of the journal will be dispensed with, and the journal will be approved as corrected by the chief clerk. Hearing no objection, the journal will be approved as corrected by the chief clerk. Could we have Carol marked present? Can you have Athena get Carol back on the phone so you can say Carol present? And do I just recognize her? And Carol will say Carol present. Yep.
And Tim? Brand?
Brand?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just pause. Carol.
Carol, present. Let me just say I want to appreciate the speaker and
Carol, present.
Introduction of bills. The following House files have been offered for introduction today. The chief clerk will report the House files and give them their first reading.
Introduction and first reading of House Files 5486 through 5488.
First reading House files 5486 through 5488. We don't have any messages, right? Nope, don't have any. So we're going to go to Leon Lilly first? All right. Members, we will proceed to recognitions and retirement speeches. To start the day, I will recognize the member from Ramsey, Representative Lilly, for the purposes of a resolution. Representative Lilly.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and members. You know, we're so blessed here as we met. You know, yesterday we did a ovation for our staff, and we are really blessed by amazing staff around here. And so with great honor, we're going to do a resolution for one of the best here. He's retiring 41 years. Really neat guy. I call him Mayor. Because he's from Hastings and was mayor there and council. And if you've ever been on the bonding tours, you go in the city of Hastings, he has about, his picture like goes all the way around because he was on so long. But, so we have a resolution for Mr. Paul Hicks, and I don't know if you want to stand and be recognized. And I'd like to...
Representative Lilly.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Paul's been a friend of all of us, and I'd like to pass off to Representative Robbins to begin the resolution. Thank you.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Robbins.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Whereas the Minnesota House of Representatives recognizes Paul J. Hicks for his 41 years of dedicated service to the Chief Clerk's office at the Minnesota House of Representatives. And whereas Paul Hicks was born on April 28, 1959, to Joan and Charles Hicks in Hastings, Minnesota, where he grew up with his two brothers and later raised his daughter Danielle. And whereas Paul graduated from Hastings High School in 1978 and from Hamline University in 1982 with the Bachelor of Arts in Political Science. And whereas Paul was hired by the longtime Chief Clerk Ed Burdick in January 1983 as a temporary administrative assistant in the front office, and on November 1st, 1983, Paul was hired permanently into the Chief Clerk's office. Over the years since, he has been the recipient of numerous promotions, ultimately assuming the role of front office supervisor in 2015, and
The member from Ramsey, Representative Lilly.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Whereas, in addition to being a dedicated public servant, Paul is a loyal Minnesota sports fan, cheering for the Minnesota Vikings, University of Minnesota Golden Gophers, and all other sports teams with his friends and family. And
The member from Brown, Representative Torkelson.
And whereas Paul is a beloved member of the All Paul Club. Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Speaker. My eyes are a little bleary this morning. Whereas Paul has consistently upheld the highest standards of nonpartisan professionalism, he has run hundreds of mock sessions for groups, provided countless legislative documents to visitors at the front office counter, and he has delivered thousands of messages to the Senate, and this one is a little personal, even on late nights and across busy train tracks. And whereas Paul is a well-respected employee who cares deeply about his work, who makes learning about parliamentary procedure and House rules fun, and who has great respect for the integrity of the legislative process, and
The member from Winona, Representative Pulowski.
And whereas Paul is a true gentleman golfer who not only counts every stroke, but knows, just like in life, you have to call the penalties on yourself. Whereas Paul will retire from his position with the Chief Clerk's office in August 2024, now therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the state of Minnesota that it extends its deepest thanks and heartfelt appreciation to Paul Hicks for his many years of valuable service and dedication to the Minnesota legislature and citizens of the state of Minnesota. Be it further resolved that the Chief Clerk of the House of Representatives is directed to prepare an enrolled copy of this resolution to be authenticated by his signature and that of the Speaker, and that be presented to Paul J. Hicks on the occasion of his retirement.
We will now proceed to retirement speeches, and they are done in order of seniority from the least senior to the most senior. And we will begin with the member from Washington, Representative Wiens.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm exceedingly proud to have served with distinguished professionals here in the People's House. We're working towards a common goal of serving our citizens as well as improving the state of Minnesota. I'm also very excited to have had the honor of serving my community in Washington County. So I had two speeches prepared. I had the great speech and I had the short speech. I consulted my speech contractors and they told me, make it a great short speech. They also told me, Dad, be drippy, dress drippy, and don't be awky. So girls, I'm gonna do the best I can today. My relationship with this building, the wonderment that I have for this building started when I was in 5th grade. We did our field trip here. I was in awe of the golden quadriga, the marble, the portraits, just the ornate chambers. And Cass Gilbert, genius. Probably would have a YouTube capital improvement show if you were here today. As a teen, my mom, who was a career teacher, received 2 crystal apples from the governor, wanted me to be the best that I could be and wanted me to be informed. She brought me to caucus, again as a teen, and she said, let's talk about all the candidates. And so at the end of that caucus, we talked, and I was impressed by Ronald Reagan because he was positive, he was a unifying factor, and he was a decent person. And from there, I went to my 9th grade civics class, Mr. Bierman, and that was sort of my framework. How does the legislature work? Plus that cartoon, A Bill on Capitol Hill. In thanks, I don't want to miss anybody, so I'm going to do the corporate type of thing. First of all, the pages have been wonderful. Thanks for the program that you run here for the juniors, and as well as our professional pages. And Chief Clerk and your folks who do a great job. And Sergeant at Arms, thank you for keeping us safe. And also the partisan and nonpartisan staff that makes us all look good. And J.R. Swanson, I'm coming over after this to sign those final grad letters, so have them ready for me. I want to thank my leadership team, Leader Damath and Deputy Torkelson. Thanks for assigning me to committees that I enjoyed, that I felt that I could contribute something to, and also the task force. My judiciary teammates, Chair Becker-Finn, as well as Lead Scott, learned a lot. Thanks for gaveling. there's a certain person that's not here today that I had a quippy statement about, and I'm going to save that and do that in person with that person because he needs to be tenderized occasionally, and the gavel works. Also on the workforce, thank you, Chair Zhang and Lead Baker. I'm going to point over to where he would be if he was here, and remember the secret sauce. My veterans teammates, I see Chair Newton is not there. He's a great leader, as well as Lead Bliss. We did a lot for veterans last year and this year, and I was very, very proud of what we did. Also, I want to thank my teammates on the Metropolitan Governance Task Force, a decent man that does things to make people's lives better, a principled and fair leader, Chair Hornstein. Thank you so much for what you did on that committee, and I appreciate our conversations. And also Vice Chair Feist, our collaboration for helping restore people. I think there's a lot in our community, not just for veterans, but for other people that are suffering. So thank you for stepping out and working with me. My seatmate Murph, who basically pushed all my buttons when I wasn't here. I was doing something else, so thank you. Oh, and then Bernie. Bernie does a good job backing up Murph. Also, I have a fond memory, not too long ago, of being gavelled here. That's when Speaker Pro Tem Herr was in charge, and I asked for applause for veterans when we were passing the bill, and I think it was worth it. So thank you for that. And I just want to make one thing clear, so there's no confusion. Would Representative Mike Wiener stand up? So I'm Mark Wiens. That's Mike Wiener. Mike. Okay, so we got that clear. There was one bill early on that was mixed up and had my name on it. It was Mike's bill, so we've got that. In closing, my dad really liked Lincoln, and he would have Lincoln quotes and memorize the Gettysburg Address, and about a week before he passed away, he did it verbatim and aced it. And so when I would have those challenging days, I'd take a deep breath, I'd glance up at the portrait of our greatest president, I believe, and I would ponder on one of those phrases my dad would always say, and that is, whatever you are, be a good one. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Edelson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, everybody here. So I had to pivot my speech a little bit today with all the happenings of the last 24 hours. But what I want to share with you is a more of a personal frame. So I think all of you, we like to tease me because I'm from Edina, right? Yeah, I like a little bit cake eater, all the things. And I really lean into that because I love Edina. But I grew up in Minneapolis. I grew up where I grew up surrounded by addiction. I grew up surrounded by struggle. I grew up not knowing if I would be safe. My grandfather always said, you had such high anxiety. You were such a controlling, little girl, at 8 years old. It's because my mom struggled with addiction. My mom struggled with alcoholism. She struggled with addiction to opioids, addiction to crack cocaine. And none of you see that when you see me, right? No, I have this, I'm Edina. But all of us have that. All of us have something we don't see. All of us are here because we're fighting for something. And in so many ways, I'm fighting for that little girl that needed help when I'm here. And it's hard for me to share my story because it's not something that I was proud of for a long time, but now I know that there's power in that story. There's power in the fact that when I was 16, I was homeless. It's power when my mom has a criminal record that has displaced her from getting work, that I can come to this building and I can fight. I can fight to make sure kids have lunch, because my entire life I was the kid that had free lunch, where I would just not eat in high school because we didn't, even though all of us almost struggled. When you grow up with nothing, you're proud. You're like, I don't want everybody to know that I don't have anything. We used to use food stamps most of my childhood. And we would wait in the grocery store or in the corner store until nobody was there because we didn't want them to see. Because you want to know what it was? It was pride. And when I was 18, I sat outside of this building and I had lunch. My birthday always brought anxiety because my mom would not always remember, and it's not because she's a bad person. My mom struggles with a disease that a lot of Minnesotans struggle with. My mom is the best person, literally the best person, the biggest heart. But I sat outside of this building and I thought, wow, one day maybe I could fight for somebody that grew up with a story like mine. And here I am, and it's meaningful, it really is. And as I've been here, I've realized all of you have stories too. All of you have struggle. I've seen your tears. I know that what propels you, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, is something that was foundational to who you are, something that happened in your life. You show up because you want to serve the people. You want to make the world better. You want to make the state better for people. And I admire that about each of you. And I see that, and I hope that we can see that in each other when we do this work next year. No one here means to be a bad person. I know that. My grandfather always said, if you can find somebody or find something about somebody else that you like, just find one thing. Together, you can make good things happen. And I've always done that. And I think we've done that together, a lot of us on the committees that we're on. Here, this is the theater. We have a lot of back and forth where we look like we disdain and dislike each other in very serious ways. But I promise you, if people watch the committee rooms, you see collaboration. You see respect. So I want to thank the chief clerks. I want to thank the sergeants. I want to thank all of you for being brave, for showing up, for taking those emails and the calls to help your constituents, even if they don't agree with you. I know that together, this is a place that is very tough. And all of us have families that support us. I want to thank my husband, Brett, who's watching, and our 3 sons who will watch it, Sam, Caleb, and Josh later when they're at school right now. I've missed a lot of things, just like all of you have. I've missed plays, I've missed band concerts, I've missed birthdays, and I've seen your tears when you've missed those things too. And I value you and I appreciate you, and I thank you for your sacrifice. And this place is tough, but I want you to know that all things that are worth doing are tough. And so thank you for being the person that's standing up to do that tough work.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Hassan.
All right, Madam Speaker, that was unfair. I go after one of my best friends here. I'm a little emotional. Assalamu alaikum. May peace and blessings be with you. Good morning. I know it doesn't feel like that. we haven't left here, right? It feels like that we have been here for a while. Madam Speaker, members, friends, advocates, and folks in the gallery, our dedicated staff. Today I stand in front of you to give my last remarks as an elected official here, with a heart full of gratitude and appreciation for this work and for all of you. Thank you for doing this work. This work is hard, it's complicated, it's complex. We're dealing with tough issues, people's lives. I remember when we first got elected, the class of 2018, which I think, by the way, was the best class. No offense to anyone else. I remember saying that people who are sleep deprived on a sugar high should not be making decisions about people's lives. When I first took an oath in this body, I knew that I was carrying a lot of the hopes and the dreams of many people who were unseen and unheard. But what I didn't know was that I was gonna find friendship, love, family, and a lot of wisdom from learning all of you guys. I won't stand here and tell you all the fights that I have taken on and how many people I angered or how many people I disagree with, but I will tell you this. My mother always says, humans are treasure, and never underestimate the power of building relationship with someone else. I have built relationships with many of you, some that I fundamentally disagree, some I agree, and you better believe that some of the hardest fights I've had with my Minneapolis colleagues. As a Somali, Muslim, black woman with a hijab, my identity is obvious, right? I wear my social identities. Many people would dismiss me or underestimate my intelligence, my experience, and my education. I grew up telling people all the time that, I have to prove myself. I know many of you don't, and that's a privilege. But I have to prove, wherever I go, I have to prove myself. I have to prove that I'm worthy of this seat. I have to prove, even with my constituencies who don't have the same experience as I do, I have to prove to them that I'm worthy of being their rep, because they see my social identities and they have a different interpretation of who I am. I'm the second only Muslim woman who has served in this body. But I will tell you, this work is hard, and every time I walk into this building, my heart beats a little faster. The reason why I kept coming back is because the little hijabi girls across the state need somebody that looks like them, that they would see and say, I can be somebody like that. I am not perfect, and I'm not looking for perfection. But the fights that I have taken in this space were fights that really matter to people whose voices maybe have never been echoed in this space. One of my biggest fights was the ride share. Thank you to everybody who have helped. I owe a lot of gratitude to Paul Cumming with that issue and Jamie Long. But the reason why I wouldn't back down from that issue is because I knew those people needed hope, and I was their hope. I promised myself I wasn't gonna cry. Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker. Thank you for being not only a woman, but a fierce woman. Only somebody who grew up with women not having a voice would understand what it means to have a Madam Speaker who's a woman. Every time, and our chief clerk can tell you, I have brought here so many people from all over the world. Australia, I've brought members of my family who came from Australia, Kenya, Somalia, different parts of Europe. I brought an author who had a conversation with our chief clerk about a book that he wrote. He's from London, but he wrote a book about Minnesota, Somali young boys. And every time I was proud to say that our speaker is a woman, that was a proud moment for me. Thank you, my seatmate. What you guys don't know about Heather Edelson is that she's from Edina, but she has a rough edges. Don't pick a fight with her. She's gonna win no matter what. Thank you for making sure that I drink enough water. Thank you for asking me. Thank you for asking me, do you want food all the time? Thank you to my sister, my district mate, Aisha Gomez. Our district's lucky to have you. Thank you to Jershine, who him and I were paired up with one committee divided into two, and he continuously challenged me. Continuously challenged me. Thank you to all of you. I just want you to remember that while we fundamentally sometimes disagree, every single one of you is making sacrifice because you care about the communities that you represent. You care about issues. Thank you to my family. My husband is here somewhere back there. My husband is here with me today. Thank you for holding down the fort while I just argue with people. I'm leaving this work, but I'm not leaving any of you guys. I made friendship here. I built foundation here. I remember I represent South Minneapolis, and when George Floyd was murdered and our district was burned to the ground, many businesses were burned. Aisha and I on the phone crying. What are we gonna do? And it took us 3 years to fund the businesses in our district. And I had to take that gavel to make it happen. That is why this work is hard, and that is why you're all here. Never forget that. That's why you're all here. I know I'm leaving, and that's cliche for somebody who's leaving to say, please stay and continue doing the work. But the little girl in me, the 7-year-old who fled from Somalia to come to this country for a second chance, is telling you that my dad's favorite freedom fighter was Abe Lincoln. And he would be proud to know that his little girl served in this body staring at the picture of Abe Lincoln every single day. Thank you to all of you.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Pryor.
Okay, apparently this just gets harder as you go along. So thank you for your, in advance for your tolerance. And I'm going to start, about 20 seconds ago, I got a text from my husband because he saw my writing on sheets of paper on the kitchen table, and he thought, Laurie, you forgot your speech. And I would be the kind of person that does that. So he offered to send a text to me. And so I guess I'll start with him. As everybody, if you're able to be here, there are people that support you. And otherwise, we wouldn't make it. Through the campaigns, through the long nights, you wouldn't be able to make it if you didn't have people to support you. And so I do have that family. My husband is a really good cook, and he loves cooking. And he does a lot of other things that support me. So I will start by thanking him. All right, now the real start of my speech, though, was to say I rise today to thank you all for the honor of sitting among you. And we do that a lot. We do a lot of sitting. And I want to talk about the people that I've been able to sit next to, that were beside me. And that starts 8 years ago. And there, in Jess's chair, and it was Laurie Halverson that was right there, and Clark Johnson, that is Jeff Brand's seat now. And they were the two experienced people that got me through all of this. And without them, again, I would be more of a fool than I have been at times already. And they meant so much to me. And then I crossed the aisle. And Sydney's seat right now is where I sat, and Khalil, you were right next to me, and I could do the same thing for you. And Amy Waseca on the other side, that my seatmates did for me that first term. Yes, Sydney, there I was. We're in the pink today. And then the term after that, it was Amy Waseca again, and Jeremy Munson was on the other side of me. And he was a great button buddy. I really appreciated Jeremy. And I know that we still have those good button buddies that they're gonna watch out. They know, there's ways of playing fair and helping each other's out. So Jeremy was a great person to sit next to, and I know that there are people that have had good relationships with him, even though there is nothing you agree about. But it was okay. So that's where I've been on the floor over these years. And until this one, where I got to sit next to Sandra, Representative Feist, and people that have worked with Sandra know what a worker she is, and I am so lucky. And then I will also say my other seatmate, Carly Katiza-Watun. We're the A side and the B side. And it's okay, Carly. We'll still see each other. We've been able to do town halls and campaigning and all of those things together. And Carly is my friend and will be for a lifetime. So thanks. Thank you for the sitting. It's been great. Now, the next thing that happens is, we all leave. We don't come back. We no longer have those power of the pen to sign those bills. We're out. But I know that the stories continue on. And there'll be those cautionary tales of things that somebody did that you want to watch out for. My first one, where I'm the object of the cautionary tale, is our first session. Somebody on the other side decided it's pimp the freshman. So they said, okay, Representative Pryor, will you yield to a question? It's like, what? I didn't even know where the microphone was. And it's, okay, do you have to turn it on? Is it all right? I was that first year. And then they asked me, so, what's the source of funding for this bill that's before us? It was an amendment, actually. We were in the minority. We didn't put bills on the floor. And I had no clue. And my mistake was I tried to find out what the answer was. So I was saying to Laurie Edelson, what's the funding? Where's the source? How much is it? And it was like, well, Representative Pryor. And then he proceeded to show me in the bill where that answer was. And, that was the big story afterwards about how he got that new first-term representative. And we tell the story, different words, different names, but it's like always be ready to decide if you're going to yield or not. And if you're yielding to a question, don't worry about the question. Get up and say what you want to say. And actually, in that moment, I was able to turn it and talk about what I wanted to say, even though I was a first year, and first years should not talk, right? Right? They shouldn't talk. But they gave me the microphone. I had to talk. So that's one of the stories that people will tell. And if you forget the name of that person, because we all do forget the names of the people, you can just say, it was a Pryor representative. All right. And then there's other stories, the good things that happen that you want people to know about. You know, strategies that work for getting your bill heard in committee, strategies for bringing bills to the floor, strategies for actually getting something across the finish lines, good examples of good behavior, all of those things. We tell those stories too about kindness, drinking water. And if you forget that person's name, you could just say it's a Pryor representative, okay? And we'll all be remembered that way. All right, so people talk about, well, what are you going to miss? And, you know, the list actually goes on and on and on. And I'm going to start with the people that really make our jobs possible in so many ways. Which is everybody makes our job possible. But it's I'm going to start with the legislative assistants because, you know, they're the ones that actually, for me, they're the ones that keep me in touch with my constituents, and I am here for them and because of them. And so all of those legislative assistants, I'm going to miss them. And just real quickly, I've had a lot because some people cycled through, but Lindy, Jazzy, Bonsi, and Isabel, some of the ones that I had worked with the longest, I so appreciate their work. Then there's this other group of people that are our staff, our partisan staff. There's a movie called 20 Feet from Stardom, and it's about the backup singers. And they're always there. They are talented. They are hardworking. They spend as much time as the lead people do. You know, it's the ones that are called the stars. And our 20 feet from stardom, there are so many people, I can't even give all your names, but you are always here, and you are the ones that really make, you are making this happen. And you may be in the background, but we know that you're there, and our voices will never get any place without you all being here. So I'm bringing that whole group of all of these people because I know on both sides of the aisle, you know who those people are, and that I am saying your words when I say how important they are and how much we appreciate them. And I also wanted to say, even when I stood up, I want to thank all of the folks in the Sergeants of Arms and all of the people that keep us safe so that we sit here thinking about our job and not all those other things that be going on. And we so appreciate you too. All right, so something that I will truly, truly miss is the possibility of dropping a green jacket. Because you're out there on the streets, you're talking to a constituent, and they say, you know, there is this problem out there. This is the need that we have right now. I might read something in the paper, and I say, we could write a bill. And we could do something about it. So I want to thank all of those people that have to read those green jackets, all of those people that write those green jackets and all of those amendments and all of that paper. And there are so many people that I can't, it would take the whole time that we had allotted, even if I could find out all those names. But, it starts with that idea, and it starts with and then it goes to our nonpartisan and partisan staff for putting the words on paper. And what we're doing here is we're having this conversation with the past. As we strike out words, as we add new words that are underlined, we're having this conversation. We're thinking about today by talking to the past and looking at those statutes, what can be added, what can be taken out that will make things better. And then, of course, what we're doing is we're leaving that legacy for our future. And I know that's why people are here, for that conversation. And so that's what I'll miss the most, is that I got to be that person for my district that signed Pryor 49A, and that made it real. That made it gave it that potential for something. And I've had the incredible honor to have names on bills that reflected so many people's work that, again, there's this Sharpie that they sign it. And the people with that authority move those bills on, including the governor's office, and we go into history. And I just had never in my lifetime expected that I could be the person that got to do that. So I'm so grateful and so honored. And I guess I want to end with probably what I'm missing and I'm feeling the moment right now, which is, this is about people, and it's a legislature of people. And I want to say thank you to Leader Damath and to Speaker Hortman. I think the two of you are some of the most courageous people I've ever known, and you both lead in this body. And I so appreciate your leadership over the years. Thank you. And then for all of you, for all of us that sit in these chairs for so many hours, thank you. They said about last year's, or 2 years ago, those retirements, it was massive, the number of people who retired. And people didn't think, well, you're not going to be able to function without those people. They're the institutional knowledge. They're the deal makers. And somehow we did it. We did function even without the people that retired 2 years ago. And I know that you'll function without us, because I know in this group, it's not so much deal makers. It's people that are bridge builders and peacemakers and dreamers. And you're going to carry on. So this isn't bittersweet at all. It's such a happy moment for me. Because I know, even though I'll miss you, you're going to do great work. You're going to do great work in future years. And you are going to continue to create that legacy for my grandchildren and their grandchildren to come. So thank you, members, for the honor of sitting among you.
The member from Chisago, Representative New Brindley.
I have to move my honey badger. I'm really hoping that somebody is going to tell me where this came from after today, because I still don't know. I showed up last year and it was waiting for me on my desk. Hodan, I never told, oh, she disappeared. I never told myself that I was not going to cry through this, so buckle up. You're probably going to see some ugly crying right now. Look, I haven't even started yet. I'm not going to talk about politics or policy today, although I had some really neat opportunities here to do some of those things. Little Allen's Law, my freshman term, funding for ALS research and caregivers. I never thought I'd be here. I'm one of those people who literally half my life I spent volunteering and eventually working to help elect other people. Because frankly, I didn't want to be here at 4 in the morning or midnight or anything else. I wanted good people to get elected, so frankly, I didn't have to pay attention. That was my grand plan. And then in August of 2016, I knew it was no surprise, my predecessor was getting kicked off the ballot. So there was going to be a special election. So my seat was opening up. And I went to my husband, and I told John that this was happening. And he said, I don't know why you wouldn't do it. Although I guarantee nobody in this room could have understood him because his speech was so slurred. And I said, John, I can think of 1,000 reasons why that is a terrible idea and why there is no way that we can do that. And a week later, he passed away. And opened that door for my family. And I will never believe that those things are not connected. So, I was elected on Valentine's Day of 2017 and quickly sworn in and assumed my seat right here in front of me next to Representative Paul Torkelson. And I tell you what, if you do not yet know Representative Paul Torkelson, that is a real shame. Because we would sit here and we would laugh until we cried on this House floor in the majority. And I've told many, but we were in the majority at the time, which I assure you is way more fun. But we would sit here and as the minority did what the minority was supposed to do, and talked and talked and talked and got us fired up, and I would be sitting here and I was chirping in his ear about how terrible this was. He had a little Post-it note in his desk, and he would pull it out and he would set it on my desk, and it said one thing, 68. He said, Ann, we got 68 votes, don't worry about it. And so Paul was responsible for keeping me quiet for my first 2 years here in the legislature. Well, don't get too excited. Because then in November of 2018, Speaker Doubt saw something in me. And when we went into the minority, he appointed me as his deputy leader. And I will forever be grateful to Kurt Doubt for believing in me, for mentoring me, for giving me opportunity to learn and to grow in a way that I never would have had without his mentorship. He gave me a master class for the next 4 years. But that morning, that leader Doubt announced that I would be his deputy. Paul Torkelson passed me a note in our caucus meeting, and it said, "Now you may speak." So while you can thank him for the first 2 years, you can also blame him for the last 6 years. I'm not talking politics, I'm not talking policy, because for me, this place is about people. So to my Republican colleagues, those who came here before me, thank you for teaching me. Thank you for mentoring me. Thank you for showing me how to navigate this place. Thank you for trusting me. To those who were elected after me, especially maybe those who credit me or blame me for you being here, you're welcome and I'm sorry. Thank you for being in the trenches with me. because there's no team that I would rather have spent the last 8 years with. Thank you for that. Heinz, Drizzle, I can't start naming names. It's going to be a problem. To my Democrat colleagues, thank you for those who have chosen to work with me, or at least laugh with me. Carly, I know you enjoyed that. Athena, thank you for letting me be a part of something that I really cared about. I am so aware of the fact that you didn't have to do that. You had every vote without me. So thank you. Boy, if Torque gave me permission to speak, Frank might be the one person who got me to be quiet. Frank, thank you for funding Highway 8. You all may probably credit him and thank him for making me feel like my work here is done and I can leave. To my staff, and I claim them as my own, to those who are not here anymore, Susan, Gavin, Troy, Wags, they're here still, but you're my people. Man, you guys are amazing. You're true believers, and you do such amazing work. Oh man, I can't look at you. And to the new team that's come through, who are also my people, Wags, Jeremiah, Amanda, Chelsea, you are amazing. And thank you for caring about this place. Thank you for caring about this institution. What you do matters. Our assistants and our media writers, I can't name names, but to our research staff, man, we've had some fun. I will just call out Amy Zipko. My freshman year, when we were passing Little Allen's Law, we had a really horrific situation in my district. And I came to Amy Zipko with an idea, and I said, Amy, we got to get this done. And she said, Ann, we're running out of time, so this is what we're going to do. And she sent that bill to 3 committees at once and then brought them back together, and we got that done. And it was amazing. To my family, to my kids, who rode this roller coaster with me. Some of you may remember that my first session, I was still homeschooling my kids. And especially my youngest, Katie, she was down here with me a lot, and we would pull up a folding chair, and she'd sit right here with me on the floor. And then she'd go in the retiring room, and Bob Lunan would play blackjack with her and teach her how to do fast math. To my husband, Bowen, man, a lot has happened in 8 years, who has been incredible and supportive. Whew, okay. I tell everyone outside of this building that the people inside this building are good, decent people. We view the world very differently. We view problems very differently. We certainly view solutions very differently. But I tell everyone that the people in this building are good, decent people. Live up to that.
live up to that. Be good, do better. Navigate this place so then when it's your turn to leave, you can hear your Maker tell you, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant."
The member from Ramsey, Representative Becker-Finn.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'm going to start with some thank yous and probably end with some thank yous because gratitude is always a good place to be. First, Anna. I am so glad the universe decided that we should work together. I could not ask for a more competent and professional LA and then committee administrator with you. Plus, you're just cool. And you're going to kick ass at whatever you do. So thank you. Pat Murphy. Thank you for believing in the integrity of this institution. You make everybody here do better because of your presence and what you bring to this body. If we could all see what this institution is capable of through the eyes of Pat Murphy, I think that this place would be a better place to work for everybody. And if we can all aspire to that, even a little bit, I think we will all be better for it. So thank you. To our caucus leadership staff, I kind of feel like Dorothy at the end of The Wizard of Oz. I'm not gonna say who the Tin Man is and who the Cowardly Lion is, and but Paul, Kevin, McCall, but you and you, I just like, we really, you've made this work more fun, and I appreciate you. And my piece of advice to everybody is to always not just thank your staff, but actually get to know the staff. Some of my favorite moments in this body have been going back to the retiring room and spending time with our staff while we do this work. I don't know if it's because I used to be one of you, but I really appreciate you so much as I leave Oz. Liz. There are so many people I could name, but the one member I will name is Liz. We came in together. We came in the minority. We didn't know each other before this work, but I cannot imagine my life or this work without you. True ride or die, Liz Olson. I will Thelma and Louise this anytime. I actually used to be a film major. I didn't even realize that as I keep mentioning movies, but. Members, did you know that 1 million Minnesotans get their drinking water from the Mississippi River? You know why I know that? I know that because I served with Gene Wagenius on the Environment Committee. And a piece of advice that Gene Wagenius gave me in my first days here is that sometimes you will have to say things 100 times before they will hear you. And I have carried that with me throughout. So if you got sick of me talking about CWD, you got sick of me talking about public defenders, you can thank Gene Wagenius because that was really solid advice. Sometimes you have to say it 100 times before they will hear you. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't stop saying it. Which brings me to the next thing. Do the right thing. Not the easy thing, Not, no offense, not the thing leadership tells you you should do, not the thing that lobbyists tell you should do, not the thing that any of the people who are paid to be here tell you to do, not the thing that fear tells you to do. Because if you're worried about how it's going to be spun and no, you got to do the right thing. You got to always do the right thing. You always have the control over doing the right thing. That is on you. And you know why? Because the lit has already been printed. My caucus knows I say that all the time. I've had it repeated back to me in caucus, so I think I must have said it 100 times because you guys know I'm going to say that. And just overall, you have to remember that your job here is to work for your constituents, for the people, not lobbyists, not stakeholders, not special interest groups, not that people have time to type up form letters for people to send you. You work for the people. Because I have seen over the years people cede their power. They don't have to. It's easier. It's way easier to carry a bill that a lobbyist handed you and a lobbyist handles the negotiations and a lobbyist does. And it's not to say that lobbyists are bad. They have a role to play here, but you don't need to cede your power to them. You can learn from folks, but you don't need to give it away. And I have heard people say things about bills they're working on. There was a bill in the last year where I had some concerns in my read of it as myself and my own values, and I talked to the chief author about it, and they said, oh, but nobody's upset about it. Well, does the public know what's in it? Just because the paid people who are paid to lobby for things don't have a problem with it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do for people. Because the people that we came here to serve, that we work for, that's who we work for, and they don't have a paid lobbyist. They have us. We are the backstop. So if you get a feeling that something doesn't seem right, but there's peace in the valley, but you don't feel like it's doing the right thing, listen to that. Listen to that feeling. You have to. It's you. There's nobody else who's going to do that. You have to do it. You have to listen to that, and you have to do the right thing. The last advice-y thing I will say is that this job will eat you up, but only if you let it. You will never be done. There will always be more emails. There will always be more emails. You will never... Inbox 0 is a farce. Don't chase that. Don't chase that dragon. That's not going to get you there. And people will always be actively pushing you to do more. They will always want you to say yes. They will always want you to carry more things. They will always want you to do more. It will eat you up. Nothing in this system is set up to protect your well-being. Nothing. So you got to build a system yourself, and that's hard. I'm talking like Maslow, like bottom of the triangle things. Even if you have to put in your calendar, nope, I will not take meetings from noon to 1 because that's when I lift weights. Eat lunch. How many of you have skipped food, water, going to the bathroom? All of us? I mean, that we need to stop normalizing that. It's not okay. It's not okay. We are human. All of us in our speeches have noted how we are all humans doing this job, and yet we let the system dehumanize us even in that most basic way. So don't work on Fridays. Friday nights, nobody wants somebody knocking on their door on a Friday night, and I guarantee you, your people, whoever they are at home, they would rather see you on Friday night. So block that off. And treat it the same way you would as a meeting with the speaker. It is non-negotiable. I am not available. And there is nothing wrong with doing that because it's the only way you can keep doing this work is to protect yourself. So go for a walk, go outside. I've always thought it's so sad, and maybe, I mean, everyone loves Cass Gilbert, but I gotta think that if a Native person built this building, there would be some light. Like, that's all we got? Like, I want to see the sky. There is, how many times have we been in here and someone said, oh my God, that storm. I'm like, oh, did it rain? Is it nighttime? I go outside. You always have that option, and it's so important because it will ground you, and that's important. This was actually the part that was the hardest to write. I have the great honor of being a founding member of both the Posse Caucus and the Queer Caucus. Somehow, we're the OGs. We're the only ones left from the first year of the Posse Caucus. And folks didn't take us as seriously as they should have at the beginning. It was a new thing that we did, to their own detriment. Because sometimes the most disruptive thing you can do in this place is to trust each other and to stick together. They will always, because every vote matters, they will always try to divide us every single time. How many times have they tried to pit us against each other? How many times? And if I've learned anything in the last 48 hours, it's that is a bad plan to try to pit us against each other, because we only have the power that we do when we do it together. We've got a bonding chair, we got a tax chair. For a while, Sydney, we struggled to have enough people here to push the buttons because this whole row is posse chairs. We were all doing the work. We're doing the work. And I've had so many comments from so many of you, don't leave us. What are we gonna do without you? You got this. You are the tax chair. And you are damn good at it. So I am confident that you will continue to build power together. Plus, I'm sending you Curtis. So you got that. My Queer Caucus colleagues. Nobody is braver and more committed to freedom than you. My life is better because of you. I am more free because of you. My family is more free because of you. And I know there is so much work to do, but one of the reasons I can leave this place, and I'm not sad. I'm ready. But part of the reason I can do that is because I know you guys are here and you're gonna continue that fight. And anyone who underestimates the Posse Caucus or the Queer Caucus will do that at their own detriment. I know that. So I feel at peace stepping away because I know you are here. So thank you. Because I can go be with my family only because I know that you all are still here. Plus, Roseville's not that far away from St. Paul, so I can come see you. This is the hard part. I'm not a crier, I'm a get angry person, but I don't know if you guys maybe know that. Yeah, you know. Real talk. A lot of personal relationships don't survive this job. A lot of marriages, a lot of friendships don't survive this job. The stress, the hours, the unpredictability of our schedules, the bizarre public nature of this work, the people on Twitter, it's so much. The campaign, the constituent demands, the fundraising, it's a lot. So, Gabe, it has not been easy, and I know you have maybe sacrificed more than anyone for me to do this work. The missed bedtimes, the dishes, the person who had to look my kids in the face when they were sad because mom didn't come home. I didn't have to do that. You had to do that. And I could not have served here and done all the good work that I have done without you. I promise I will not seek out another job that involves all-nighters. Promise. I also want to thank my mom. My mom is the absolute best grandma you could ever hope for. She literally moved to the metro to be closer to my kids and to help us do this work with small kids at home. A lot of you know, and some of you might even remember, when I was sworn in, my kids were little. My youngest was 18 months old when I announced that I was running. We are so, so lucky. My dad, he was a first, and he was an only. And when he served in the legislature, it was pretty lonely. It was even more toxic than it is now. Openly hostile for a Native man to serve here by himself. And one connection that I always appreciated, and I didn't know this until I was elected and serving with Representative Mariani, but Representative Mariani served here so long, he also served with my dad, is that my dad would come over from the Senate, sometimes just to be in the same space with a person of color. And they wouldn't even have to talk, they just to be in the same space together. And when I think about how far we have come as a posse caucus, he would have loved this so much. He would have loved to see us doing our thing. Because that is a long way to go from two guys being able to even stand in the same space together to what we all do here every day. Many of you know I lost my dad 6 years ago, last Friday, while I was serving here in this body. Actually missed the first Posse Caucus group photo because I was at the hospital. I don't think it was intentional, but he prepared me specifically for this work my entire life. My sense of justice, my love of the law, my ability to speak truth even if it pisses people off. That's the example that he set for me. Whether we were waiting it out in a deer stand or talking politics. He also taught me to do everything I do with integrity. All of the bills that I have passed, all of the things that I have said, I have always I've always done it in a good way. I can hold my head high because I know that I didn't have to do it the backwards way that a lot of people over the years have chosen to do this work. Every single good thing I have done here, all of it, could not have been possible without him. You know, we talk as Native folks about 7 generations, and I know for some people it's sort of like a hashtag kind of thing, but what it means is that that 7 generations doesn't just go forward, it also goes backwards. And so that string that connects me to my dad also connects me to my grandma. My grandma who lived on the res her whole life except for when she was at the boarding school. And my grandma, despite living her whole life in poverty, because of her, I get to be here. And we say this a lot, like, we're not even supposed to be here. Like, look around us. Like, look at what is written up there. Look at we just got rid of that seal. I mean, it's still up there. You know, we weren't supposed to still be here, much less here doing the work. We're not just alive. We are thriving and we are doing the work and we are making things better for our people. And that's only possible because of the generations that came before us. Similar to Hodan, I grew up on the res. I kind of say as a joke, like I grew up in rural Cass Lake. It's a town of 700 people, but I actually lived in the outside of town part. I grew up in the woods. So if nothing else, I hope that my time here will stand for that. Res girls can do anything. And there are many, many, many things that will tell you that you can't, but we can, because we're here and we've done it and there's proof. Finally, my kids don't remember a time when this wasn't my job. I'm sorry, this is the end of the Find Mom game on TPT. We'll go fishing more instead. When I announced that I would not be running for re-election, in that press release, I shared that I would be spending more time caring for myself and caring for my family, and that is what I intend to do. There are a lot of different ways to measure time, but the one that always hits home for me is the growth of my kids. When I was sworn in, my kids both fit in one of these chairs together. And there were Cheerios on the floor under my desk for a very long time. It was your desk, Carly. There might still be Cheerios under there. I don't know if the vacuum fits under there. It could be from Carly's kids, it's true. Now my son is taller than me and wears size 11 men's shoes, but he used to fit in this chair with his sibling. So while 8 years could be seen as a relatively small amount of time, in other ways of measuring, in other ways, a whole lifetime has occurred while I have served in this body. Miigwech.
Next on our list is somebody who's not here, but if that person does come to the chamber, we will recognize that person when they arrive. The member from St. Louis, Representative Olson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's a hard and fitting way to follow Representative Becker-Finn, truly a ride or die. So I rise for the last time to express my thanks and gratitude for the people that made these last 8 years possible. First and foremost, to the 40,000 people I have the absolute honor to represent, you are the reason I am here. I was never once led astray when I followed my heart, knowing exactly what you needed me to do. It's been an incredible honor to hold your hopes, your fears, your dreams close. Thank you for entrusting me with the charge to be your state representative. To my family and friends, to the Albrights, who are in the balcony today, I was driven here to represent community and people I love, and I am so excited to be back with you more often. Thank you for giving me the space and support to do this job. To Tom and Florence, I forgot to thank Tom on my first election night speech, so I won't be making that mistake today. Tom, I'm gonna face away from the speaker. Tom, I'm gonna face back. You have kept the home fires burning for 8 years. You have welcomed me home and sent me on my way so many times. At times that's meant holding me close and putting me back together, telling me I can and I should keep going. I knew when I married you 18 19 years ago, that I had married a partner for life. These last years have not been easy, but without you, they would have been impossible. Thank you. I love you. Florence, you might only be 8 years, which is the exact amount of time I have also been in office, but you see it all. And you know only life with Mom as a legislator. You understand what goes on here, and you were so excited when your kids at your school got free school meals, and you know the impact that my work here has. But I want you to know, Florence May Olson Albright, that you are the most important kid in this state to me. I love you. To the staff I have worked closely with these last 8 years, to my fabulous LAs, Madeline Garcias, Lindsay Hansen, and Leah Killian, to my talented media writer, DJ Danielson, to the incredible Waze staff, Owen Worth, David Sullivan, Emily Adrians, and Colby Sullivan, to Kevin Labbins and Chris McCall, who are there at my darkest moments and my proudest moments, and who made it possible to deliver for the people in Minnesota in often unseen and unknown ways. Thank you. To all the staff here, from the chief clerk staff to House Research, to the people who keep this place clean and beautiful. No matter how much we try to muck it up, and we sure do, our caucus room has been a disaster. You all ensure this place remains a beautiful beacon to the people of Minnesota, no matter who occupies these seats. To Speaker Melissa Hortman, for believing in a first-term member with some big ideas and entrusting me to lead in ways I would have never dreamt of when this journey began. Thank you. To my DFL colleagues, we say LFG all the time, and members across the aisle may roll their eyes. But what it means to us is we were committed to do as much good for as many people every day we were here, and we did that until the last gavel hit last night. What an honor to have served with each and every one of you. We did so much good together, and each of you made that possible. Our kids will be fed, our workers protected, access to our democracy expanded, and so much more, because we knew that we were stronger together. And I leave knowing Duluth is in good hands with Rep. Leish Kozlowski. From this West Duluth rep to the kid from West End, keep representing, my friend. To all the members I have served with who see each other's humanity, you will be missed. I have made lifelong friends working on legislation with members from both sides of the aisle. Even though Dave Baker is not here today, he knows he's never going to shake me. The way we traverse chasms of difference to find our shared values is the best of this place. More of that, please. And at a minimum, we must see each other's humanity in this work. And to anyone who has ever dehumanized someone, whether it be because of their immigration status or gender identity or any other hateful thing, we can and should and have to do better. I've been asked a lot this week if I will miss this place. I will say there's a lot I won't miss. This work is hard, and even we are home with our families, the demands don't stop. There's always more evenings and weekends and work and worries and little recognition for what we do. What I will miss, the deep feeling of revelry every time I enter this building. And most importantly, I will miss the profound impact of our work and the small part I played in making someone's life a little bit easier, the state a little more just, and this place a little more compassionate. And for the last time, thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Waseca, Representative Petersburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to everybody in this chamber. You know, a year ago, people kept asking me, after I announced I was retiring, they said, well, why? What made you think about retiring? And I think it really started sometime last summer, in which I went into a room and I couldn't remember why I was there. And I know a lot of you have come into the same thing, where you just couldn't figure out why you were there. And so I left the room, turned around a little bit, came back into the room, still couldn't figure it out. Finally, I yelled to my wife, Deb, I've been in this room for 10 minutes. I can't figure out what I'm supposed to do. Why am I here? And the kind woman that she was said, John, you're in the bathroom, figure it out. And it's things like that that just got me to thinking, you know, maybe it's time for me to go. I think a lot of you may have known that my late wife of 13 years died in the middle of last biennium, last term. And I've been blessed to be married to another wonderful woman, Deb, who's up there. Thank you, Deb. We started thinking, you know, what is it we need to do and where we can go from here. And so I determined that it was time for me to go. And, you know, one of the things we've had through my 12 years here, we've had a lot of ups and downs, some highs and some lows. And I'm going to mention one of the lows just because it's so important. That occurred last night. It was very historic. We actually saw a party who has established itself or self-proclaimed itself as the party for the oppressed, who then now has become the oppressor. And that's sad. And it's something that I hope that the cost of that will be had been understood as well. But that's the past. I would like to talk about the previous 11 and a half years here, because there are a lot of other things that I think are very positive for us. At least I can say that no one, after I said I was going to retire, no one has said, well, I'm glad to see you go, which was kind of nice. You know, it gave me some heartfelt for that. Matter of fact, it's been the opposite. People have said, oh, we're really going to appreciate you. I've had lobbyists, I've had people on the other side actually say that they appreciate all the work that I've done, the fairness that I've always had, the questions that I've asked. I don't know that I've ever asked a gotcha question. It's not that important to me. And so I want to talk a little bit about my philosophy about being a legislator. We talked a lot about, others have done that too, about why and what we do is important. When you first come into this chamber after being elected, it's quite awesome. It's also intimidating. You are learning a lot about what's going on there. And I sat in this chamber and listened to the debates. And as you know, most of the debates between one side of the aisle and the other are quite different. And I got to asking, how in the world can the other side say the things that they're doing? It's just wrong. It's mean. Something's wrong here. And then within weeks after talking with everybody and having interactions with them, I come to the realization nobody is mean. Nobody is saying mean things. They are being truthful to their values, to their core values, to who they are and what they believe in, just as I am doing. And that took down the wall that was developing into realizing, hey, their belief to them is true. It's real. It's real for them, just as it is for us. And it's something that I think we all need to remember, that we have to give people the grace and the love to have their own opinions, and we should expect the same in return. And because of that, it has allowed me to develop friendships, acquaintances from across the aisle and on this side of the aisle. It's allowed me to learn from all of you. What I learned is that whatever bill you want passed, it doesn't get passed by any one person. It gets passed by all of us. And those relationships are what actually causes us to actually get some things through. But I want to mention just a few people that have touched me over the years. I'm going to start with those on the DFL side. Some of you may remember Jean Poppy. She was chair of Ag Policy Committee my first term, and I was on her committee. And I found her to be very gracious and understanding, and a very good legislator all the way around. Paul Marquardt, who is now Commissioner of Revenue and a great tax chair, it was somebody that I really got along very well with. David Dill, who has passed away since I came back. He and I shared something. I don't know if most of you know. He and I both had our gallbladders out the same week. He had his done first, and I had mine done later. I recovered a little bit better than he did. He had some issues with it. But my good friend, Chair Frank Hornstein. There is, I don't know if you know this, but you really took my breath away when you showed up at Susan's funeral. And some of you may or may not know this on our side. I think everybody on their side does. He doesn't drive. He doesn't even have a driver's license. And yet he's chair of the Transportation Committee. And so he had to have Representative Elkins come and come down and drive him. I can remember him saying, I don't have a driver's license, and all of you should be thankful I don't. So, and I hope I don't take that away from your speech there, but it was very, very personal to me, and I thank you for that. I mean, others are close by, and members of this caucus came as well, but that was very touching, and I do want to say thank you for that. On this side of the aisle, people like Mike Beard, who was the lead of transportation when I first came, and he and I talked about transportation a lot. Paul Torkelson, who has shared transportation issues with me too. I appreciate all that you've done. Bob Gunther, who created the I-90 party and all the benefits there, the grocer, the guy that everybody said I should get to know. I don't know if it's because of his hot dogs or not, but I appreciate that. Sandra Erickson, our esteemed teacher that really represented education very well. Of course, no one can forget our nutrition commissioner, Dean Urdahl, and his work on the nutrition commissioner, and his now esteemed vice chair, Chair Mary Franson, for that too. I'm going to talk a little bit about my seatmate here, Greg Davids, who I have garnered a lot of respect from and who has helped me keep my snack drawer down, because otherwise I'd be even bigger than I am, so I appreciate you for doing that. But he has a lot of wisdom, and I never get tired of his stories about how his petty cash could help pay for this and pay for that, although you've never shared that with me, so I appreciate that. But over the last 4 years, I've been a minority lead. I've been vice chair of transportation as well. And I know that a lot of people think I really have a lot of intelligence and knowledge about that, but it's because of that guy right over there, Joe Marble, who is probably one of the better researchers here and knows exactly what's going on. He has made me look so much smarter than I actually am. But I appreciate his work, and I'm going to miss him as well. And so I thank you for that. And of course, the one that I have to thank the most is Deb, my wife up there, and we mentioned a lot of our spouses. She has been gracious enough to walk the journey of this last year with me. And so it's important for us to remember that. Then I want to talk about all the rest of you, because each and every one of you has had an impact on who you see today. We may not realize that even if we don't have any interaction, collectively, we all have leave a little bit of ourselves with others. And we need to understand that we always will do that. And so collectively and together, we impact each other. We are more than ourselves when we are together. And that's an important thing for us to remember. I'm going to leave you with one story about perspective that I think is important for us to kind of keep in mind, and it has to do with the State Highway Patrol one day out there monitoring the traffic, and he saw a car driving along very slowly on a 65-mile-an-hour road, and he knew how dangerous that was, and so he pulled the car over, and as he walked over to the car, here was a car full of senior citizens, and they all looked terrified, like anxious, like they're going on something wrong, and sometimes that happens, he said, when I stop cars, and so he didn't think too much of it, but he knocked on the window, and the lady who was driving rolled down the window, and he said, "Ma'am, do you know that driving too slow is also very dangerous? You really should drive speed limit." And she says, "But officer, I was driving the speed limit." And he said, "But ma'am, you're only doing 22. This is 65-mile-an-hour stretch." And she says, well, officer, I always go the speed limit. I never vary, up or down." He said, "And right there it says 22. And he looked over and realized what had happened, and he said, "Ma'am, that's actually the route sign. This is Route 22. The speed limit is 65. And she says, "Oh, okay, I'll speed up." And he said, "But I'm not going to give you a ticket. But before I go, I noticed that everybody in the car seems really anxious and excited. Is there anything wrong? Can I help?" And she says, "Oh, no, officer." She said, "They'll settle down a little bit. You see, we just got off of Route 101. So there is a point to that story, and that is that how often do we base what we're doing based upon a perspective that may or may not be true or could be partially true? And so I leave you with that to help you understand that sometimes what you have in your core values it may not be true, and the only way we know is if we listen to others and deal with each other as an individual that we care for and actually love. So with that, what I'm going to ask all of you to do is please listen with your heart, but give and live with grace. Thank you.
The member from Polk, Representative Kiel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This morning, when I did my devotions, I thought it was kind of interesting. Started in the 3rd chapter of Ecclesiastes. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says, "To everything there is a season, and to every time there's a purpose under the heavens," which I thought was appropriate. I decided, many of you know that my husband and I have had some health issues this last year. And as we talked about where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do, and he's much more retired on the farm, although I would suspect he's trying to keep the grass mowed now that there's nobody to do that. So, and I don't do it, he does it. But anyway, just the time, it was time for us. And I appreciated that Bible study when I was thinking about what I was going to do next. And most of you have heard me talk about my 20 grandchildren, and I'll have a lot to do. And they don't even live with me. So we'll see how much visiting I get done. But this is such a wonderful place. And what an honor to be here, to meet new friends, to create relationships, to spend time trying to work together. When the newspaper called me and said, "Deb, what's your greatest thing?" And I thought to myself, it took me a while, and I said, nothing I did here, nothing came with just Deb. It was other members in the committee, staff, my LAs, you guys all know this, but the fantastic work that you get, or help that you get when you put something together, not to mention the committee and where things need to go. And at first, when I was thinking about walking away, I thought, gosh, I really want to do some more things. But then I thought about it a while, and My predecessor, Mr. Bernie Leaders, said, there's always more to do, and that's exactly right. There will always be more to do. But then I watch everyone get elected and new people and think, you know what, God will provide the right people to be here to do the work that we need to do. And I just really appreciate all of your expertise, your knowledge, your awareness. I have to say, I've just been really, it's been a real privilege to serve here in this body. My world just expanded entirely, learning all about Minnesota, learning detail that I didn't know. I had mentioned the other day that, if you come on up to northern Minnesota, give me a call. I'll open doors, let you know that there are things you want to see if you're interested. But the other thing is that I was here. I would not have spent the time here. So I got to learn about suburban areas and the metro areas. And while I say all the time, I'm happiest driving north when all that traffic is in my rearview mirror, it has really given me an opportunity to learn a lot more about Minnesota and how everyone lives and the challenges that we both have. Challenges in rural Minnesota are challenges in the metro area. They're just a little different. Challenges in education are different. But we need to make sure that we look. I'm not going to cough much more or I'm going to quit. Anyway, but the challenges of our education are different. But we need to look at what we need to do in order to bring a balance. And rural Minnesota really looks for that, the balance that we have. With that, I have been here 14 years. I can't believe it. But in that time, people that have helped me are Stacy, who's long gone, doing something else, and Gabrielle Hauge, which I really appreciated. And Bethany was there a short while, and then there was Tim. Representative Becker isn't here, but he and I shared a few staff together. So then there was Peter. Peter found his way to the Senate. And then now I've been blessed with Jean for more than 4 years. And I really appreciate all of your help. Staff makes us look good. You all know that. I wouldn't have survived here one day without staff. And the joke, of course, is where's the bathroom? We got to have help to find the bathroom. But really, truly, everything you do here. So I want to say thank you to that staff. Thank you to Brittany and Laura. Amanda, where is she? There she is. Amanda, actually, we got to know each other up north. And Caleb, finally, were my writers. I started this gig serving Marshall County, Pennington County, parts of it, Polk County, parts of it, and all of Red Lake County. I'm ending the 14 years serving all of Polk, all of Red Lake, all of Norman, and 5 precincts of Clay County, all in my area. There's, I think, maybe an hour and a half to drive the farthest in my district. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that I thank the front desk. You guys are so helpful, and what wonderful friends. You're always here, you're smiling, you're glad to see us, even if we showed up 2 hours after you just quit, and are ready to go again. And I really, really appreciate all that you have done for us. All of the sergeant at arms, they're always around, they're always cheerful, they're always helping you, keeping you safe. The researchers, the revisers that are at your beck and call when you need them, and just all of those people that help this job become easy. I have to thank immensely my constituents for taking the chance on a then little old housewife who served on the school board. And I just really appreciate all of the support that the citizens have given me. It's been what a trip. And what the honor to just serve here has been unbelievable. And finally, I need to thank my family. My children were all adults when I did this. My youngest daughter, who now is mother of 10, said, "Oh, Mom, you don't want to go anywhere else and work. You just want to take care of the grandkids." Well, I said, "I got a surprise for you. Mom's been doing that for a while. I've been raising kids, and now I'm going to go do something else that I would like to do." So I surprised my children a little bit, probably more than a little bit, when I stepped away and didn't do just mother things. And they've been very supportive, very helpful, and are quite the team. You just don't know how your children respond until you're sick. And then everybody rallies, and the ability they have to figure out what they need to do and who's responsible for what. And finally, my long-term relationship with my husband, Lon, he has sacrificed. I didn't think I would cry. We work together all the time, side by side, every day, all of the time. So coming down here was a challenge for both of us, and a change in life. Actually, there were some benefits to it, because Lon learned how to wash clothes, vacuum the floor. I always got a phone call Thursday or Friday. "What time can I expect you?" "Oh, I'll be home at such and such a time." I used to think he was looking forward to seeing me. I found out he was just trying to figure out how much time he had to get ready for me to show up. But, and the benefit for me was that I learned how to take care of my car. It had problems along the way. I had to figure out what to do, because at home, I just call Lon or the service guy I know in the area, but I had to find other people to help. So it made us both quite a bit more independent. I won't torture you anymore with my voice, but thank you so much. Thank you, Lisa, for your leadership, and Paul for your friendship. Dean, I was your vice chair. Thanks for the first experience of being in the House, and what a helpful person you were. Thank you to Melissa. It's been, this has been quite an experience. I thank you all for the friendships. I tell Joe Schumacher, I'm gonna come by and see you on my way south somewhere. I wanna walk in, say hi, and leave. But that's only because I got 5 hours to drive already. Gotta stop, find a bathroom. No. Anyway, my voice is gonna go away. So thank you very much for everything, all the experience, and all of your help. And God bless you all. Thank you.
The member from Meeker, Representative Urdahl.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. One more time, a bonding bill speech. Oh, wait, that was last night and I never gave it. You know, actually, after our basic disaster last night, I decided that this isn't really retirement, it's more an escape. So, the time has come. A speech 22 years in the making. I decided that I wanted to be a legislator when I was 17 years old. I well remember the first time I revealed that goal. I was on a first date with a young lady. We were waiting at a stoplight in downtown Litchfield when I announced my intention to her. It was our last date. Now, fortunately, I explained what my future intentions were and what life might be like to a young lady named Karen, who's up here. And she still said yes. You know, I wish my mother could have lived to have seen me elected. A lot of my love for history came from her. Her family were very involved in the early history of Meeker County and the state of Minnesota. They were there in the Indian War of 1862. So my mother would have appreciated this, but I always had to tell her, I'm only half as good as you think I am. I went to St. Cloud State, became involved in student government, worked on the staff of Congressman John Zwak, left college to become a teacher. But the desire to serve here was always with me. Teaching at New London Spicer, I remained involved in politics at a volunteer level. It led to many vivid experiences. I convinced John Denver to speak at a Republican event. I met Ronald Reagan. I asked a young man to take a picture of me shaking hands with Ronald Reagan. I've got that picture. It's of two hands. The guy was from Iowa. What can I? I actually got to be near Richard Nixon at the 1972 Republican National Convention. So I watched history being made. And while I did that, I was trying to explain history to my students. To me, history was a story, and I was telling it. I wanted them to learn, and I engaged my students to keep them interested. I even wrote a history rap, which for the first time I'm going to reveal today. The names used are of the people that I worked with and taught with. I'm a young DU with a story to tell about U.S. history that you know so well. This course used to be just 1.5 years. The Airsman says, looky here, these kids ain't learning what they need to know. Teach a full year and they'll get mo. So we teach about peace, we teach about war, the people that died, the clothes they wore. But you got to move fast, don't talk or pester, because you got young DU just one semester. Then some will get drier and some will get frisky. You better move faster, it's going to be risky. So do those worksheets, watch them tapes, because from U.S. history, there ain't no escape. I came here 22 years ago after losing 2 general elections in a primary. I should have won in 1994, but a bipartisan legislative cabal had agreed to help each other out if challenged on a particular issue. Now, my campaign made an attack on that issue, and a Republican House member, I forget who it was, but I think he might be the only Republican here with more years of service than me, wrote a letter to the editor against me. I lost by 170 votes. Not, actually, in retrospect, it wasn't such a bad thing to lose then and then win later. Once elected, my goal was not to move on to higher office or even to rise to a leadership position in my caucus. What I wanted to do was serve the people. That was what I focused my energy on. I've spent 10 years in the majority, 12 in the minority. I was able to get some things done. I believe students are safer in Minnesota because of my lockdown bill. I started the legislation for livestock tax credits. I hope that knowledge of civics will be enhanced due to my civics education requirements. My bill as chair of the Legacy Committee started the restoration of our capital, an achievement of which I am most proud. A large share of whatever legacy I leave has to do with capital investment. Yes, bonding. I traveled the state looking at projects for 20 years. It was a very rewarding experience. I survived meatless lasagna in Wilmer and riding in the back of the bus with my good friend, Representative Leon Lilly. What made this job meaningful were the people that I served with. I became convinced that it was our responsibility as legislators to maintain the property owned by the state. That mantra has become a crusade. I'm actually contemplating a special license plate. No, you'd like this one, Frank. 007 ING. What would that be, Leon? 007 ING? Bonding? Come on. My LAs started with Dave Easterday, followed by many others, including Bobby Patrick VI and Stephen Rubis. I like to think I trained them. The record holder in years of service as my LA is Jennifer Goblish. The day I met her, I said, "You have one major task, make me look good." It's been a challenge for her. And I'm grateful. She's been a wonderful LA. A special thank you has to be reserved for the staff that worked with me when I chaired or was lead of bonding. Gavin Hansen, Harry Miracle, Chelsea Axelson were faced with a special task, keeping me in line. Now, Harry once spied me back in the retiring room, talking to the bonding chair then, DFLer Alice Hausman. And I don't know why. I mean, he was over here, he looked, he saw me in the back, and he stands in the doorway, he goes, and so I come out, and we journey right on up to the SOB, to Kurt Dowd's office. They sit me down. They turn the lamp on me. And they ask, "What were you saying to Alice?" I think we were talking about Como Park. I don't know. Actually, why were they worried? You see, that at that particular time, I was having some tooth problems. I was on Vicodin. They were really worried about what the Vicodin might do to me. So I've had the privilege of working with many speakers of the House. Steve Swigum, Margaret Anderson Kelleher, Paul Thiessen, Kurt Zellers, Kurt Dowd, Melissa Hortman. I'd like to thank them all for the opportunities that they provided to me. Thank you, Speaker Hortman. You've been a friend. Phoo, we almost made it. Yeah, it was close. The relationships I've developed here are precious to me. Most everyone I served with, I value. I need to highlight some of my closest friends. First, two from the past. Representative Bud Heidgerken and Representative Matt Dean. Bud formed the Nutrition Commission with me. Our offices were next to each other. Each night for 6 years, I'd walk by, and I'd stick my head in Bud's office, and I'd say, "Hey, Bud, did we save the state today?" And he'd say, "Not today, maybe tomorrow." Now, Matt just kept getting me into trouble. He once called an internationally famous author a pencil-necked weasel. When the press reported on it, they didn't credit Matt Dean. It was Dean Urdahl. I mean, I saw a cartoon from Norway, and it's got somebody, it's a beach scene, and someone is kicking sand in the face of this author, and it says on him, Dean Urdahl. In the spirit of bipartisanship once, I invited Frank Hornstein, Keith Ellison, to Litchfield. And what did we tour? No, First District. I think we went by the Opera House, but we toured First District. The dairy processor that was in the bill that didn't quite make it last night. But it is the first time and probably the only time in Litchfield history when a Jew, a Muslim, and a Christian walked together down the streets of Litchfield. Paul Anderson, Greg Davids, John Petersburg, Mary Franzen were devoted Nutrition Commission members and became my dearest friends. I will miss my daily contact with them, but without Paul, my nutrition world will expand beyond chicken wings. Now, you may find this hard to believe, but Mary Franzen had some troubled times early in her career. I tried to advise and concluded with, just think about what I would do in those situations. For the next year, she wore a wristband to remind herself, WWDD, what would Dean do? It was a little risky. Now, I'm sorry, but I need to digress, get a little serious here, maybe preach a little bit. Because, I still have a forum today that I'm not going to have much longer, and just maybe some of the things that I say, somebody will remember. I could literally count on one hand the number of bad days that I had here in my first 10 years. This place was fun. It's changed. When I was elected, I decided that 3 things should guide my vote. The 3 C's: my conscience, my constituents, and my caucus. I'm sorry, but in too many cases now, from both sides, we only have 1 C, and that's the caucus. We don't need to think. We'll be told what to do. Partisanship has grown as cooperation has declined. I urge you to be statesmen and not politicians. I am a center-right conservative. That's not always been good enough for my fellow Republicans. I was challenged by Republicans in some way 8 of the 12 times that I sought office. I won every time. I am one of the last Eisenhower Republicans. I believe in human rights, equality, strong public education, a strong transportation system, and taking care of our infrastructure. I came here with only one goal: to represent my people to the best of my ability. There are those in or on the fringes of my party who are not Republicans. They are attempting to take over my party and mold it into something else, something that never was, and they are the true rhinos. I believe that we should have a March primary to preclude the capture of both parties from extremist elements. Now, I've been criticized by some for my work on infrastructure. Last year, after a bonding bill passed, a high-level Senate Republican staffer called me a traitor, and then really went low and referred to me as a Democrat. Do you know what really offended me? He skipped right over Rhino. In part, I do what I do to save the Republican Party from thinking like his. Congressman Davy Crockett from Tennessee had as his motto, be sure you're right, and then go ahead. And that's what I've tried to do. You know, it's not been easy being a bonding chair, being a bonding lead. I've been called a liar, my motives and methods questioned and castigated. The job I do is no longer for people like me. I believe that the caucus could be better served by someone less passionate about our infrastructure, someone less committed and more agreeable. I stand now and will continue to stand on what formed the foundation of the Republican Party, what the party really is. To my Democrat friends, I'm not even going to try to help you. I have two sons that work in or around the Capitol. One of them right in the front here, my media writer. Another son lives in a nearby suburb. I used to joke that I would sometime leave office to spend less time with my family. Well, that's not true. I want to spend more time with my sons' families. I want to watch my grandchildren and be more involved with them. This afternoon, I'm going to a baseball game and watch two grandsons play. My wife, Karen, has stuck with me through ups and downs and all the travails of life. She ran my campaigns, edited my books, worked on my movies, even painted houses with me. Her imprint is on all that I've done. Why am I retiring? When I know there's still much I could accomplish. One reason is just not that much fun anymore. But the bigger reason, Karen asked me to spend more time with her. It simply became time to quit. Thank you all for being part of my life. I treasure these 22 years and what I've been able to do and the relationships I've developed. I leave you, especially freshmen, with some advice. Build relationships. Keep your word. Remember who sent you here. And for heaven's sake, don't ever say, would so-and-so yield for a question?
I'm not done.
Regarding your speeches, let me repeat one more time. You'll never get this one. Be brief. Be to the point. Tell a story if you can. I don't want to burst your bubbles, but droning on is not effective. Nobody's listening. Oh, by the way, if you do want to know the story, my book, End of Session, will be coming out soon. As a teacher, I started each of my classes by walking in and saying, "What are you here for?" And they would say, "To learn." And I would say, "And to help me take another step down the road to my eventual job as a," and my students would shout, "Walmart greeter." So thank you all. If you happen by the Litchfield Walmart, you can pause, point at me and say, "There he is, the last Eisenhower Republican. He tried to do what he thought was right."
The member from Hennepin, Representative Hornstein.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, after that, I am going to be brief. I'm going to tell a story, and I'm going to do an impersonation. So first and foremost, my heart is so filled with gratitude, not only for each and every one of my colleagues that are here, all the staff over so many years, and our most recent incredible transportation staffers are here. I want to give a shout out to Tenzin Sangyang and Matt Bauman. We had a very complicated set of issues that we had to deal with this year, and you just hit it out of the park. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And this gratitude extends so much to my family, my amazing wife, who so many of you have gotten to know over the years, is here. I couldn't do this work without her. We're both in these public-facing jobs, and it's very, very challenging sometimes, but we keep each other going. And I'm so just filled with gratitude for Marcy. And, you know, the chief clerk, who we all just love so much, Pat Murphy, told me that we may have made a little history today. He tells me this is the first time in his memory, and he has, if there's anyone that has historic memory about this amazing place we work in, it's Pat Murphy. He tells me this might be the first time a presiding officer introduced his spouse to give the prayer. So we witnessed a little history today. My sister Ruth is here, and I'm so pleased that she's able to join us. She's been such a part of this work as well, showing up at every caucus. We have a wonderful ritual of marching together in pride, and that will continue whether I'm a candidate or not. So thank you, Ruth, for all of your support. And, you know, my kids aren't here, but they grew up here, Rebecca, Naomi, and Max, and some of you may know them. Rebecca just had our first grandchild 3 weeks ago. Her name is Lucia, and we'll get to that in a minute. That's the story part, Representative Urdahl. And so she's a rabbi in the family tradition, but also a community organizer in the family tradition. And my daughter Naomi has always been here on many different occasions, and she's a teacher, a 7th grade social studies teacher at the Minneapolis Public Schools. And then my son Max, he lives in Brooklyn. He's a stand-up comic. He's a stand-up comic. So they all grew up here and have been so supportive, and I want to thank them in absentia. But it's really, so many have mentioned this, and I believe it in my heart, that this place runs on relationships. And the incredible relationships I've had on both sides of the aisle, I value, I treasure, and I've learned so much from every single person in this room and others that aren't here, and I've learned so much about the state. Someone had said at our freshman orientation a long time ago, Representative Urdahl, that your title is state representative. You represent your district, but you also represent the state. And so never forget that title. And I've learned just from every corner of the state, I've learned so much about the issues, and particularly transportation. I've served on the Transportation Finance Committee every single term that I've been here since 2002, and so I can name just about every district and every highway that is needed and needs repairs, and transit systems, et cetera. I am so proud to represent a district that has generated so many amazing leaders in this body. And I want to give special shout out to several of them as well. So what people affectionately call my work husband, Senator Dibble, is here. And he has been a mentor, an amazing rock of support. And we have marriage equality in the state for many reasons, and many people have worked on it. But I think we have marriage equality because of Scott Dibble more than anything else. Whether it's working on homeless youth or all the transportation work we've done over the years, people wondered why I was moving after redistricting. to stay in this position. And I said, you know, I want one more chance to write the transportation bill of my dreams with Scott Dibble, and we did that, and so I appreciate that. I get the chance to serve with Jamie Long. He has been such an incredible leader for our caucus. And the great part about serving with Jamie and Scott is that when we do our town hall meetings, it's like people will come up, as you know, as my colleagues know, they come up with, are wonderful, amazing constituents, come up with a lot of questions, and some of them are there's a lot of minutia to some of these questions and nuance. And I don't have to worry about that because the two smartest people that I know in this chamber are my seatmates, Scott and Jamie, so I appreciate that. It's very fun to serve with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then we've also generated a couple of speakers out of our district that I've had the pleasure to serve with, Margaret Anderson Kelleher and Paul Thiessen. And before redistricting, I had the chance and honor to represent Senator Tina Smith. So we are really a place of leadership, and I've just valued and appreciated that so much. And Speaker Hortman, our friendship over the years, I value and treasure. And but the story I want to tell about the Speaker is not so much about politics. It's about when my father of blessed memory died in 2008, and I went to his funeral. There was many details that had to happen. Many of you have had parents that have passed away. And I was chairing a conference committee on transportation policy at the time. And Speaker Hortman was on that committee. She took the gavel, and I had nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. So that's just one of many reasons I appreciate you so much, Madam Speaker. So here's the quick story. I've been thinking a lot about generations lately. In my tradition, we say l'ador vador, from generation to generation. And Representative Keeler has always reminded me that in good times and in tough times, you remember and feel, even in your body physically, the presence of your ancestors. And so I'm feeling that a lot these days. My mother died in 1998, but she was a true hero to me, and I think in many ways I'm here fighting because she gave me that fighting spirit. She fought the Nazis in the sewers of Warsaw and survived the Holocaust as my father did. And our granddaughter, who was born 3 weeks ago, her name is Lucia, the same name as my mother. And so I think that my daughter, who also has that fighting spirit for social justice, knew that generational passing down is so important. And so I think a lot about generations right now. And I think about the generations of people who have sat in these seats for so long. And we had a conversation just recently about, the need to come together as a state and to fight the hate that is dividing us. And I look around this chamber and I see so many faces of people that have never been represented here before. And that's why we have to keep going. We have to keep that trend going. Young people, older folks, people from all backgrounds. That's what makes this place so very, very, very special. And so I hope that, again, my mentors, Speaker Kelleher and others, I'm just filled with such gratitude to you. And I just want to conclude with, since the Speaker did say, she made a statement after I announced my retirement that she liked my Bob Dylan impression. So, and I just wasn't sure which song to choose, and my wife and I had a conversation about that. But the one I chose is one because whatever perspective you have, I think you come to this chamber with an interest in making change. We're not happy with the status quo. We're not happy. So we come here because we want to serve our constituents, and I want to thank my constituents so much. Those are the folks I've learned the most from, whether it's these one-to-one conversations we have in coffee shops, our town hall meetings, the phone conversations, the engagement, the meetings in our offices. That's who I've learned the most from, our constituents. So we're here because we want to make change on their behalf. And so this is the song I chose, and many of you may know the chorus, so I'm not going to sing the whole thing, just the first part. But as the man from Hibbing wrote this song back in the early 1960s, and he once said it meant a lot to him then, it means a lot to him now, it means a lot to me now. So for all of us who want to come here to make change, this is for you. Come gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, well, you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. Everybody sing with me. For the times they are a-changing. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for giving me the honor. Thank you for giving me the honor of a lifetime. Thank you so much.
I have a brief announcement, or the majority leader has a brief announcement about the reception and the food situation. Representative, okay, I'll give it. There is food right outside of the chamber doors. The loggia is also open for members. And I hope that you'll enjoy some time and some fellowship together. We still have a little bit of business to do before we're done, but just wanted folks to know about the snacks that were obtained for the reception. Representative Long, in the nature of an announcement as well.
Madam Speaker, just a quick announcement to our caucus. We're going to gather downstairs for no more than 10 minutes before we go out to the reception.
The retirement speeches have concluded, so we are on motions and resolutions. There are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online, and if there is no objection, we will take action on these motions first. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail.
Long moves that the chief clerk be, and he is hereby instructed to inform the Senate and the governor by message that the House of Representatives is about to adjourn the 93rd session sine die.
Representative Long.
That is my motion, Madam Speaker.
All those in favor of the Long motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. Representative Long.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House adjourn sine die.
Representative Long moves that the House adjourn sine die. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails and the House is adjourned sine die.